Thanks for joining us here on ARC Salt Lake. I'm Brian Schneed. It's Tuesday, February 3rd. Tonight we're taking a look at a murder case where two men are speaking out about alleged involvement in the death of Kimberly Hyde. More than a year after a Utah woman was found murdered, her husband is speaking out. Mike Hyde says he's being falsely accused online, while the man police call their main suspect is no longer in the country. Ariel Harrison sat down with Hyde, who says he wants justice and his name cleared. Take a listen.
Did you expect it would take this long? It's been over a year. Did you expect that, what did you think when you knew he had fled, and now to being at this point where your wife's case is still unresolved?
Right. The authorities have said all along to be patient and that it could take up to 5 years. And my concern is that the Philippine government, knowing how they operate, they have a reputation of sitting on things, even with the church trying to build temples in the Philippines. I understand that they have a difficult time getting things approved for even that kind of work. So I'm fearful that it may take a long time, and the authorities have warned us of that. They mentioned it could take 5 years. So here we are, a year and a half down the line.
What's your message to Henry?
I wish he would accept responsibility for his actions and stop lying. Seek mercy and forgiveness, and don't fight extradition back to the country. Come back and have a fair trial and accept the consequences that come with that. He grew up in the Catholic Church. We were exposing him to the LDS Church. I'm hoping that, with that religious upbringing, that he would have a sense of right and wrong and a conscience to do the right thing.
The main suspect in the case you just heard, Henry Risuera, denies responsibility for the murder, and he claims he was framed. Investigators say he fled the country just hours following Kimberly Hyde's death. Vernal police later responded to Risuera's remarks about being framed, saying Risuera remains the sole suspect based on the evidence, and that several of his statements were contradicted by verified facts. Risuera reached out to Nate Eaton, a reporter for East Idaho News, for an on-camera interview that aired in January. Risuera told Eaton he was speaking out because he did not trust local police.
If the FBI says, okay, we want to hear from you and we want to know your story, you said from this point you're willing to talk with them now?
Yes, just the FBI. Yes.
Just the FBI?
Yeah, I will cooperate because they already involved the FBI. Yeah.
Right. And would that include coming back to America and testifying or giving a statement?
Nate, I'll be honest with you. I was afraid for my safety, and I was afraid for my security. So about that, I don't know what will happen, or really, I really don't know. But first, I have to face my extradition case here in the Philippines.
The legal battles surrounding the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk continued today in court. The defense tried to disqualify the Utah County Attorney General from the case. That's because a deputy attorney general on the case has a daughter who attends Utah Valley University and was present on the day that Charlie Kirk was shot. Prosecutors, including Utah County Attorney Jeffrey Gray, argued that this does not constitute a conflict of interest and does not interfere with the Utah County Attorney from doing their job. The defense asked the judge to disqualify Utah County from the case and refer it to the state attorney general, a motion the judge denied.
I do not believe that there's any conflict whatsoever. I made that conclusion. I stand by that. I mean, out of an abundance of caution, we certainly notified counsel out of an abundance of caution, and I think that's the appropriate action to take. So again, I understand what conflict, the concern about conflict is whether or not it has any possibility of affecting your decision-making as a prosecutor, and I didn't see how this does in any way.
Judge Tony Graff said that he has not yet made his decision on whether or not to disqualify the prosecution and encouraged both sides to continue working on their case. Robinson's next hearing is set for February 24th. He will appear virtually. In 1 week, on February 10th, the man who served time for killing 15-year-old Kiplin Davis will finish his sentence and be free from prison. But Kiplin's body was never found. Timmy Brent Olson has spent the last 15 years behind bars and has said nothing about the location of Kiplin's remains, despite years of pleas from her parents. Kiplin went missing 30 years ago. She was labeled a runaway by police at first. That delayed efforts to find her and the suspects. Christina Flores spoke with Kiplin's parents, who say missing child investigations have changed since their daughter vanished.
When 15-year-old Kiplin Davis did not make it home from school on May 2nd, 1995, her parents, Richard and Tamara Davis, knew something was very wrong, but police responded by assuming she was a runaway.
I wish they would have treated her like a missing person instead of a runaway. And that's what happened. They just said, she's just with friends and don't worry about her.
And we knew. We knew she didn't run away. Yeah. She didn't have a reason to run away. She was so happy with her life. Why would she run away?
That decision by police to treat Kiplin as a runaway meant precious time was lost in investigating her disappearance. Kiplin never came home. Eventually, investigators focused on a group of young men who years later faced trial for her disappearance. One of them went to prison for manslaughter. By the time a criminal investigation finally led to a solid case, the four suspects had a big lead on investigators.
But they had plenty of time.
Plenty of time.
To either get their story together or...
Plenty of time.
We suspected them right from the very first.
You did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in fact, we were at one of them's house that night, but it was because one of Kiplin's friends that we called said, well, I seen her with this guy at lunchtime, and so we drove up there
And he said, and I didn't feel good about her being with him.
They even went to the house of one suspect at 1 in the morning to ask if he'd seen Kiplin.
But I didn't knock on the door. To this day I go, why didn't I go up and knock on?
Why didn't you knock on the door? You just...
1 o'clock in the morning.
It was just too
It was too late.
You didn't want to wake anybody up?
No, I was being, I don't know.
Courteous?
That's right.
Yeah.
I've wrote that in my book. Why didn't I? You know, why didn't I pound on the door?
Based on statements and testimony from the case, which took years to get to court, Kiplin's parents believe she was taken to Spanish Fort Canyon, sexually assaulted, and killed with a rock.
I feel she fought him. That's where the rocks came in. I wish I could have seen their faces, the next day to see what they looked like, whether she scratched them or hit them or whatever. We never had that opportunity.
While the Davises say more effort should have been put into Kiplin's case from the start, they do say today law enforcement do much better.
If a young girl goes missing now, you feel confident they act with more urgency?
Absolutely, positively. In fact, they have. I think the law enforcement and the court systems and that have looked at that and have changed quite a bit and tried to make it better for everybody. Well, you have your Amber Alert now. I mean, holy criminy, look at that. Look how that law's helped. And look at all the kids that have been found this quick and that fast because of the Amber Alert. We have cameras at all of the schools now. We didn't have cameras in our school systems then. Wouldn't that have been wonderful to have videos at cameras at every one of those doors and seeing Kiplin walk out with whoever she was with? That would have changed things dramatically.
Christina Flores, KUTV 2 News.
Christina also asked Kiplin's parents how they feel about Timmy Brent Olson's upcoming release from prison. If you missed that report, You can watch it right now on our KUTV YouTube page. In just over a week, the man who pled guilty to manslaughter in Kiplen Davis's case will walk out of prison a free man during a 2021 parole hearing. Timmy Olson was given the chance to say where Kiplen's remains are, possibly get out of prison early, but he didn't take it. That year, Utah lawmakers passed a new law allowing for early release in homicide cases if a prisoner helps recover a victim's remains. The board read that law directly to Olson.
So with this in mind, I don't know if there's any testimony that you would like to offer that you've cooperated in good faith with the efforts to locate the victim's remains.
Tell us what I can't answer that. I'm sorry.
At least from what I've done.
Tonight on 2 News at 10, our Jim Spiewak spoke with one of Olson's attorneys about what he plans to do after being released. Coming up on Arc Salt Lake, how a new development in St. George is tackling affordable housing. "110 new affordable housing units are opening in the next few months in St. George. SwitchPoint, the organization behind this project, says these units not only have affordable rent, but are in an area that allows easy access to jobs, schools, and groceries. Samantha Hoffman reports.
When I moved here in '78, there was 25,000 people in the county. With people moving in, everything's gone up.
Retired veteran Bruce Raftree says his Social Security and VA disability can't keep up with rising apartment rents. How has more affordable housing like this impacted your life?
Oh, it's saved me.
Raftree is staying at Economy Inn and Suites, which are leased by SwitchPoint to provide rents of just $500 a month. The units at the Point will be between $500 and $700 a month and go to people with the most need.
Currently, I think all of the units, I'm told, are filled. I believe the wait list is extremely long.
I reached out to the City of St. George for an interview. I asked if the city is helping fund SwitchPoint's leased units, are they working on other affordable housing developments, and will these units meet demand for affordable housing? The city tells me they work to remove barriers for making housing affordable. This includes updating land use policies, partnering with builders to expand supply, and pursuing responsible infrastructure planning to reduce development costs. While the city isn't directly contributing financially to the Point, they do give $700,000 annually towards the shelter and reducing utility rates for leased properties. Most of the funds for the Point come from federal tax credits. Do you feel that the city needs more affordable housing options?
I do, but I don't see it happening. I can't see them keep building multi-story apartment buildings and expecting the locals to be able to afford them.
There should be more opportunities to create a myriad of solutions for our county when it comes to housing.
Raftree added he wants to see the city convert old buildings to more affordable housing options and shelters. SwitchPoint said that half of these units are going to open in April, the rest in July. In St. George, Samantha Hoffman, KUTV News.
This one's pretty cool. A new airline is landing at Salt Lake International. Starting June 1st, low-cost airline Volaris will fly 3 times a week to Guadalajara, Mexico. You can already purchase tickets for the flights, and they'll operate Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Salt Lake City is the first market Volaris will serve in Utah. Volaris serves 24 airports in the United States. Better get those tickets soon because you never know how much those flight patterns are going to stick around. Got to get the demand. You know what's in demand right now? Some snow. Like, I can't be the only one that
demand, but no supply.
Demand, yeah. Supply and demand is not the thing right now. What's coming our way, Sean?
Well, a whole lot of nothing for the next several days, but we are tracking some changes. Finally, in the forecast, as we make our way to about 6 to 8 days out, we could see a pretty significant nationwide pattern change, which would favor more active, snowy weather for us here across the west, including colder temperatures as well, and getting rid of this nastiness here with temperatures 10 to 15 degrees above normal, valley inversions, and hazy skies. But in the meantime, through the next few days, we're stuck in this weather pattern, the current one that we're in, and we'll see those dry conditions persist all the way through the weekend, and this will continue to favor the dry conditions, at least in the short term, that have presented ourselves with the least amount of snow on record for the Salt Lake Valley. Only picked up 1/10 of an inch. We should be well over 30 inches at this point in the season, but here we are. We had better air quality today. Did you notice the reduced visibility or the reduced haze out there and the increased visibility? You'll see as we make our way into the day tomorrow and Thursday, we'll start to see air quality get a little bit worse, and then we'll see those temperatures here that have been pretty mild, not bad, into the 40s across much of the area. 39 in Heber, 36 in Park City. Further down towards the south, we're into the 40s across much of the area. 46 in Hanksville, 46 in the Cedar City area, still at 62 right now in the St. George region. Across the state, we're dealing with quiet conditions, nothing going on out there right now. That next weather maker here will show you as we head into the weekend. We might start to see increasing clouds, but that's really about it. High pressure systems in control, strengthening that inversion, increasing the haze across much of the area. And it's going to be fairly quiet all the way up through Monday night to Tuesday next week. We get the slow moving storm moving in. This will be the first of a series of storms that will likely move in. Now, it's still many days away. The timing, the intensity, how cold, how warm, this is all going to change here, and we're going to continue to fine tune the forecast and the details. But for right now, it is looking likely that something will happen in this time frame, and this will likely be the beginning of the necessary change that we need, because that week 2 outlook will show that it will likely continue even beyond that initial storm. So as temperatures overnight, we're down to freezing and into the 20s for much of the area. Clear conditions, highs tomorrow unseasonably mild once again. We're into the low and middle 50s for the area. St. George, you've got temperatures here in the 70s. How about that? That's looking really nice, beautiful weather. As we head into the weekend, we're into the 60s and 70s, and then across the Wasatch Front, we're into the 50s as well. Nice weather. It's going to be chilly in the morning, but still just unseasonably warm. And then there's that change into next week. So watch out for that beneficial change, a long-awaited change, Brian.
It is. I guess if you're into the sort of thing that we've been experiencing over the last, month.
Yeah.
More. I don't know. I mean,
It's been a long time.
I've lost track of time. You've got some days you're limited, and then the big change could come. You're saying that is the start of something different, you believe?
It's the start of something new.
We'll
I
see.
think that's a High School Musical song.
Yeah, I guess it is. I don't know. Yeah, I need to watch that and see if maybe send it a little magic our way here 7 days, 6 days out. All right, Sean, thank you. Coming up on Arc Salt Lake, the Madeline Choir School getting ready to go on tour. When and where they will be singing.
The Super Bowl of Caring. Brought to you by America First Credit Union, Smith's, Check City, Ford, Balance of Nature, and Rocky Mountain Power.
You can help end child hunger in Utah with our Super Bowl of Caring. Scan the QR code on your screen. Go to KUTV.com/donate for more information on how to get involved. Just $10 can help feed a child for a weekend. Lindsey Vonn says she will compete at this month's Olympics with a ruptured ACL. The ski star was hurt after crashing last week in Italy. First responders had to fly her off the mountain and to the hospital for treatment.
Vonn says she feels stable when she skis with a brace. The 41-year-old currently leads the World Cup downhill standings.
The Madeline Choir School getting ready to go on tour. They'll be singing in New Mexico from February 12th until the 16th. 56 students in grades 5 through 8 are taking part in the tour.
They'll sing at some of the state's most historic and sacred sites. That includes the Cathedral of St. John and the Cathedral of Basilica of St. Francis of Assisi. The choir will also visit cultural landmarks and museums during the trip.
Pretty remarkable. More impressed not by the grit of Lindsey Vonn. Like, how remarkable is that?
I can't even walk across a room with
let's not do that.
Stub toe.
See you tomorrow.